Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Mike Ames Recruitment Show, where, as you can see, we're talking about something I know lots of people are interested in, and that is why and how to create a niche market. Because let's face it, we all know that niche markets are easier to sell and they boost profits. Now, to discuss this today, I am joined by the man himself, Mr. Michael Ames. How you doing, big guy?
I'm a bit low, aren't I?
You're a bit low, actually.
Oh, there you go. That's much better. The hair. Sorry about the hair. I didn't put stuff in it today, so
It's an absolute story. What are you talking about?
I know a bit of a story. Yeah. No, niche. We love niche, right? Because they're so powerful. As you'll see, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of them in a minute. But when done properly, it's a license to print money, I think. And I mean, there are some cons, some risks associated with them for sure. But actually, I think that the gains are more than enough to compensate for the odd risk that you might take with them. So to me, it's like just a massive, massive benefit. And I think every single recruiter, whether you're a solopreneur or whether you own a recruitment business, a bigger one, and you're thinking about your team, or whether you are a recruiter just watching this and thinking, well, could I do this? The answer is yes, you can. Yes, you should.
Yeah. So as Mike mentioned, we've got quite a lot to get through today. So if you want to ask questions, please, by all means, you know we love it. You know I like it when you try and stump Mike. It always brings me immense joy. So if you have questions as we go through, pop them in, I'll bring them up. But we're going to look today about kind of what a niche is, just so we're all kind of talking about the same thing. And we're going to look at some pros and cons. And then we're going to delve real deep into how you select, how you build, and how you sell your niche, because those are the things I think that people are looking for the tips on first. So, Mike, to begin with, can we just start talking about what a niche actually is?
Yeah, there's kind of three levels really. And if you're watching this, if you've got a niche, if you don't mind popping it in the comments, that'd be interesting to see what people have got already. But level one, the entry level, is a specialization. Just means that you place a lot of those people. That's what that means, right? So, yeah, we do a lot of these, or we do a lot of those, or we do a lot of the others. The benefit to the client is, you know the language, you know a good one from a bad one. You've probably got a little bit of a network set up. Still reactive, you get a vacancy and you hit your database, the job boards, and so on to find somebody. But you've got form in that space, and people like that. So that's the entry level. A lot of people specialize, and that's absolutely fine. The next level up is a niche. And a niche is turning now from being reactive to proactive. So your niche is probably defined by two things. The first one is like a job description. So we niche in this type of role. This is the thing we're best known as. But you might also combine that with something to do with the company. In other words, to pin down the number of target clients that you would work with. And you might say, well, we provide project managers and project leaders for engineering companies. You might do that because the idea is to create a target market and a source in terms of candidates, which is so small you can dominate it. You can be a big player, if not the go-to guy and go-to girl. Certainly, one of the main players is recognised as that. A micro niche, which is the next one on, is a much smaller niche within your niche. And the benefit of that is you can own it. You can be known as, oh, that person's the person that does that. If you want them, you need to go to them. Like that. If you're hiring these people, go there. I'll tell you a story, right? So when I'm going to use old examples because I'm certainly not going to sacrifice anybody else's confidences around this, right? But we used to have our niche. Well, some of it's specialization, but our niche was IBM mainframe, really, and certain skills like COBOL, Kix, DB2, IMS, DBDC, and some PL1. That was what we niched in. So that's what we did. We just did that really across any IBM mainframe site. So it was fairly kind of wide, but it was enough. But everybody or most people had a kind of a micro niche, and one of the people that we had in a micro niche, which was a code generator, and there was probably, I don't know, 700 or 800 contractors in the United Kingdom with this skill, maybe less than that. And she had them all in like a list. She knew them all. So I'll come back to that in a minute. And we were sitting in the office one day and the phone rang, and it was the MEB, Midland Electricity Board. And I didn't know that, but all I could hear her saying, "Oh yes, oh yeah, yeah, we can do that. Oh yeah, oh that's very nice. Who told you? Oh, they did they? Oh okay. Do you want me to slip around and see you? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll come round." Who was that? That was the MEB. They'd just taken a product called IEF from Texas Instruments, who were the supplier, and Texas Instruments had said, "Well, we got no real consultants. You need to speak to Wendy. She does all of that." And the client had come to us and said, can we have like it's 10 or 15 consultants? It's a huge order, right? That's what happens when you're the go-to guy or the go-to girl, but it's only in a micro niche. We couldn't have done that with like COBOL.
Yeah.
Too wide.
So would you say then that kind of specialization and niche is a company level thing, an organization level, and then a micro niche would be a consultant level thing?
Well, you can view it in that way. You can view it in that way, and if that works for you, then that's fine. But I think that it's really down to the size of the number of consultants, contractors, or candidates, whether you're a permanent contractor or an interim, whatever. It's the number of those who are around, the pool size, if you will, of those, and the number of clients that use them. That really dictates whether it's a niche or a micro niche. But I think to have like a focus for your business, we do this, which most companies do. I talked to someone earlier, and he was finance and accounting, right? But it really wasn't much further than that. So you can add, oh, in this regional location, because then you can be the number one in that regional location, or for these types of clients, you can do that, right? So it really is about building a target market which is small enough to dominate or be well known in. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we've got Louisa Jane. She says that she niches in the Cotswolds and they've seen great success, which is what we like to hear. So we've got one fan of niche.
So that's a very good example there, Louisa Jane. Should they picked a regional space? And I don't know because she's not put it, but I bet they do different types of roles in that space. But they're the go-to people for these types of roles. They wouldn't do like everything, I doubt.
Yeah.
IT people all the way down to whatever consultants or something, right? So this is the range of people that we provide in this space, and you can dominate it. Got to think first choice. That's really important to do that.
Okay. Now, Mike, I think it's time that we look at some pros and cons, because I think most people are going to know some, if not perhaps all, of the pros of a niche. But there are a couple of things that you have to consider that are, a little bit some negative, or make it a little bit harder. So let's start with the pros, because I think most people know these. Let's go through the pros of having a niche.
Okay, so the first one is bigger fees. Right now, obviously, they're only bigger fees if you choose a discipline or a job role, however you would term it, where bigger fees are applicable.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you're placing £4,000 factory workers, on a fee of £4,000, you can niche it if you want, but it's still going to be £4,000. It's a lot of effort. You're putting a lot of effort in. So I'm going to talk about how you build a niche in a minute, for not much in the way of return. So I think you're looking to make it really worthwhile. Certainly micro niching. You get down to that level, you are talking 10 grand plus fees, really. Between 10 and 20, more if you can get it. So basically, that means that the type of people you're placing are earning more, and therefore you're getting more of it. But also it means that you can lift your fees. So I'll tell you another story. So we had a German car manufacturer that we were supplying to, and they kept chipping away at the margins. We're contract business, chipping away at the margins. We realized that we really weren't making any money on them. So I had a conversation with them and said, look, not really making any money here. And they said, well, it's your problem, mate. Well, not really, no, because I can't carry on like this. And I don't think they took me seriously. Anyway, we provided them with a particular technical skill, which was a micro niche. One of the guys that focused on this, he pretty much cornered the entire UK market. He knew all the contractors in the space, right, which is what you need to do for contract. And so we said, well, we can't, do it. It's well, fair enough then. So we stopped supplying and we gradually took our people out. Then we get a call to say, oh, the product's name was Telon. The Telon, could you just be a supplier for those? Yeah, of course we can. Yeah, no problem at all. but we're not doing it for those crappy margins. It's these margins, which are like literally twice as much. Oh, no, not doing that. Okay, then we're just going to go 2 weeks later. Yeah, we'll do it at that margin because supply and demand, right? That's an issue. Cornered the market, and to a certain extent, you can control where people go, particularly with contract. Less so with perm. I've got a lovely perm story in a minute, but I think you've got to think about what you need to do to get yourself into that position, because it doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen by running ads on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Job boards. This happens because you put the effort into a market or a niche which you are convinced will give you the return that you want. That's why it happens.
Yeah.
We didn't become the masters of Telon overnight. We did it because we spent a lot of time going out and meeting Telon contractors and getting them registered and building a relationship with them, so they wanted to work for us.
Okay, so I think the next pro, I think, is almost slightly linked to the bigger fees, in that you're less subjected to PSLs as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, these are general things. You don't get a niche and all of a sudden these all apply. They can apply. They do in certain cases, but that German car manufacturer was a case in point. Same for the MEB. There was a PSL there, and we weren't on it. But you see, what you've got to think of yourself as a consultancy now, professional service provider, not an agency. And you've got to think like that, and you've got to begin to act like that. And as you'll see when we talk about building up squads or talent pools, you're building up a list of people that you know, and that you're actually basically selling access to that list. That's the difference with it, right? So just like if you were KPMG, say, and someone decided to hire KPMG to do some work for them, they're going to use KPMG consultants and some contractors, but they don't know that, right? Well, maybe not KPMG. He said not wanting to be sued, but whoever. But they're going to get these people in, right? And that's who they're buying. So they're buying consultancy. That's their view of it. So you're selling consultancy. It's like, no, if you want recruiters, you go down the road and they'll provide you with people if they've got them. They probably haven't, and they won't know a good one from a bad one, but we do. Whereas you're actually selling access to this list of people that you know really well. And that's consultancy. So it's different. So PSLs don't apply in the same way, because I get we're not on the PSL, but that's for agencies, isn't it? Yeah, well, we're not an agency, we're a consultancy,
Yeah.
So.
And I think, again, this next pro is sort of linked to that, in that, and you already mentioned it with one of your stories, is that you attract candidates as well as clients, because you're like, well, it's different for us. We're not just your own email.
Only more for micro niches, really, because for niche can still be quite big, really, but micro niche, then because people talk. Permanent people talk. Oh, who'd you get the job through? Oh, so and so and so and so. Yeah, I'm leaving. Yeah, where are you going? I'm going to Thingivob. Well, that's good. Who did you use? I used so and so, because they're the people that we use. They're the specialists in this. Same for contractors, even more so. Who are you through? Oh, so and so. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't go through anybody else. Yeah, they're the guys. Because you're the one that basically builds a relationship with the clients, that you can circumnavigate everything, because you're the consultancy with these people. It's like a chicken and egg sort of situation. But we're going to talk about selling niches in a minute, but you've got to really understand what you've built. Not an agency with a big register. I'm not talking about that. That's a specialization, and that's fine. Talking about a niche where you put more effort into it. Yeah. So I think that's a really important one, actually.
Yeah. And again, I think it links to this one. Because of that, you can reuse your candidates and clients in a completely different way and save yourself time and energy.
Yeah. So if you do a search and you have some candidates left over, you've got clients to go to and say, oh, by the way, I've got some people here you might be interested in. Selling in is easier because you're just doing it in that thing, and the same for contractors too. If you've got a contractor coming up, then okay, I know who to ring. I'll just ring some people until someone says, yeah, actually I've got a vacancy. So the reuse aspect is important. Same goes for your clients though, really. You do business with them over and over and over again if they hire this kind of person more than one. The other advantage, which isn't down here as a pro on our list really, is they can be a great door opener. So we had, not everybody had niches, just thinking about it, but quite a few people did, which was the door opener. But when we're in, we'll sell them anything. If it's an IBM mainframe or an AS400, which is the mid-range IBM machines, we'll sell it to you, but we won't use that as the entry point. We'll use the niche as the entry point, and once we're in, we're all over the place.
Okay, so I think we've looked at most of the pros now, Mike. I do want to look at the cons pretty, because I do want to focus mostly on how we select, build, and sell it. But I do want to look at the cons, because there is an element of things to consider. Let's take it around. Now, you've already mentioned this one. It does take time to build your niche and your reputation. This isn't something that takes overnight. You have to put time and energy into it.
No, we're gonna look at that next. That's the choose, build, and sell are the three main things of this program. But I think that you have to recognise it takes time, and that's why most people don't do it, because in some cases you think, well, it might even not work out for me. I might make more money just getting vacancies and whacking them out on the job boards or something. But actually, if you choose the right niche or micro niche, then very definitely no, you'll make a lot more money, and it'll be easier money, relatively speaking. So that niche is very important, but it does take time, not just to build it, to also to establish yourself in the space, to associate yourself with the thing that you hire, to become known as the go-to guy or the go-to girl for that thing, is more than just providing those people over and over again. It's because you go to the events, you do this, that, and the other. We'll talk about that in a minute, obviously. But
okay, and then the final con is something that I know a lot of people are probably thinking about, which is this: is that if you have a niche, you already kind of spoke about, it's owned by that individual, it's their network, and they could leave.
Yes, and they do, of course. And the niche will go with them. There's no question. If 360s particularly, if you a solopreneur, then it doesn't matter, because you're not going to leave your own business, so that's absolutely fine. If you've got your senior people, and many of the senior people in businesses, recruitment businesses, have got niches, because it means they can make a fair amount of money without investing vast amounts of time once it's up and running. So they can do other stuff like management or team management, still make some dough. And they should be locked in with shares anyways, real share options. So they're probably not going to go anywhere. But the big key thing to this is don't go down the 360 route with this, because 360's got it all. They've got access to the talent pools or the contractor squads. They've got access to the clients, and they know how to put the two together. So all of that's going to go with them, and you can't stop them. Plus, the client just associates them with that. So I think in a layered model, then obviously there's more than one touch point. There's a bunch of people that will build candidate pools, build contractor squads. There's even people that will manage contractor squads. You can do that to the contractor care program, which you could extend to permanent staff if you wanted to, but I'm not sure the return on investment would be enough really, but you could. And then you've got people that actually deal with the clients, and they should sell a product, which is a branded product, so that if that person goes, the branded product stays. The way in which you find the candidate stays. It's just the person that puts the candidates / contractors in touch with the clients that changes. We've got a new person now that sells this product to you, but you can protect yourself. But I think you should be aware that that's a realistic risk.
Make sure your EVP is very good as well. Okay, Mike, now I really want to move on to this next juicy bit, the select, build, and sell. But before we go into that, and we are going to go quite deep on these guys, I know we've got 7 steps on how to build it, so we are going kind of next level down. I think it's time for a word from our sponsor.
That'll be me then, won't it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring that up, Kirsten. So as some of you may know, we run Profit and Lifestyle Growth Summits. They're a full-day session where you work on your business, not in it. And I've got to tell you, we just did one a couple of weeks back, and Kirsty's been doing the video testimonials, and they are awesome. That's not me saying. When we release these videos, you'll be blown away by the things that they look at camera and say. Not scripted. We didn't give them £20 to say it. They just said it. It was brilliant. They're great days. And what we do is we focus on 5 different parts, 5 engines that your business needs. There they are. Right, strategic BD, Apex client care, zero cost marketing, layered fulfillment as opposed to 360, and to become a sticky employer. We focus on them, all of them at a very high level, and then we zero in very much on strategic BD and layered fulfillment, with a big chunk of marketing in there as well, because that's really important for the BD. It's a great day. You come out with clarity and confidence of the way forward. You come out with a workable plan and a strategy contained in 30 pages that you bring home with you. This is where you can attend. The next one that we have is in London.
Yes.
In June the 26th, I think it is. And we have an online version coming out in the autumn. That's when that's coming out. I should change that screen really.
Yeah.
If you're interested and would like to know more about these things, all you need to do is that.
Email summit to mike@flair.co.uk.
Yeah, summit, the word summit to mike@flair.co.uk. That's FLAIR.co.uk. And I will just send you a link and then you can decide. If none of the dates are right for you, then you can just simply tell us and we'll tell you when the new dates are coming out. So it's easy to do. So if you are not entirely sure how to grow your business or you're frustrated with the way it really is right now, come along and we'll sort that out for you.
We will indeed. And we'll have a bloody good time whilst we do it, which is always,
Oh, we do. The groups are quite small and it's 6 to 8 people. So it's a workshop. It's lovely. Anyway.
We have a great time. Right, Mike, let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's get down into what people are really here for. So first of all, selecting your niche, because I know a lot of people, it can sometimes feel overwhelming to have all of these options. How are they supposed to zero in on the one that's going to work?
Let's start at the top really. Fees. You do not want to be putting all the effort in to build a niche and make $5,000 a pop. No. So if you're at that level, then you've either got to swap to a different market or you've got to look up, because whereas you're putting lower level people in, somebody placed their bosses there and somebody placed the bosses of the bosses there. So somebody's making money at a more senior level, and why isn't it you? You got the contacts. Yes, you've got to change perception slightly. We'll see you as a low level provider, but that's down to the strength of a product and the strength of your reputation, quite frankly. If you're good at what you do, there's a much greater chance that people will trust you with it. But whatever you do, you've got to lift those fees because it just isn't worth doing it lower level. You can specialize lower level. That's absolutely fine. We're the guys that do this, that, we do this here for these companies in this geographical location. Absolutely fine. But if you want to reap the benefits of niche and micro niche, you've got to get bigger fees. That's the first thing. Second thing, you've really got to think about placing people or working in a space that you like, something that you're interested in, something that you don't mind going to a conference and spending all day listening to people talk about it and having people in a network who want to talk about it and it's important to them. You can't just randomly pick something you've got no interest in, because damn, that's going to be hard. Got to be honest with you, right? So it's very important to do that. Preferably, this is a preferably, something that you've placed plenty of before, if you can, or you've got clients that will take those people, right? Because that's important. Now, if you're in the techie space, it's a good idea to have something that a client takes more than one of. Because if you're doing 30-40 grand fees, then it doesn't matter if a client only buys off you once a year, because you only need 10 of those clients and you're cool, you've done your numbers. But if your fees are quite small, the cost of acquisition for a client and the cost of maintenance of that client whilst you're waiting for the next vacancy to come up is going to burn profit, because you're only making one placement. So really you're looking for things where they're making a number of placements. Now, there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of roles that people have more than one of them, but they're not that common particularly. So you have to find something like that, or accept that you're just going to niche, not micro niche.
Okay, Mike, can I ask you to put numbers on this? Can I ask you to say, if I was doing the research and was finding the kind of clients, how many do you think should be in a niche versus how many should be in a micro niche?
It's almost impossible to put numbers on them, really. You can, a specialization, you can pretty much do anything, right? So it's not a big deal. A niche, you're talking in terms of, let's talk in the available pool of candidates / contractors. You're talking the thousands. And for a micro niche, you're probably talking the hundreds, really. Okay. That's a loose arrangement, obviously, but but that's important. I mean, one of the things you can do is you can go on the job boards and LinkedIn and just do some searches to see how many adverts there are for the type of things that you're looking to niche, and if they put it on, what the kind of fees are, so you well, what kind of salaries are, so you can work out the fees. But I think to start with, this is an important point I wanted to make. You evolve your niche. So you might just start doing something and drop lucky and think, oh, actually, just made a few quid on that, and I can see where I would get more candidates or more contractors from, and I can see other people use this. So yeah, this might be something for me. Or you can take your niche and gradually, as you do it, you just find yourself placing more of these type of people. There's a reuse, as we said before. You build a list of, you place the people who are left over. And the more clients that you've got that know that you can do that, the more likely you are to replace or place on spare people on your shortlist, which is the way to make a lot of money because you're not doing the job all over again.
It is indeed.
So I think it's very difficult to pin it down specifically, but to start off in a niche, so do you know what? I'll just do that.
Yeah. I like it. I'm passionate about it. I can talk about it. I find it interesting. I'm willing to read the articles. I'm willing to put the time into making sure that I understand everything about it. That's kind of key as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because as you'll see in a minute, when you build your niche, you've kind of got to be active in the space.
Yeah.
You're not like a recruiter now that gets a vacancy and does some searches, makes some phone calls, sends some emails out. People have got to think of you as the provider of that thing, and somebody that's adding a bit of value to it, somebody that's interested in it, particularly if your niche happens to align to a sector. You know, that's important. You need to be active in that sector. Or going back to the lady that said earlier, if you're in a location, then you've got to go to the places where people go. You know, you've got to go to the networking events.
Yeah. Okay. So let's not jump ahead, Mike, because I do actually want to now go into the building. So say somebody sort of said, right, okay, that size-wise, interest levels, I'm sort of there, right? I feel like this is the space I'm going to start putting some time and energy in. How do they then build the niche? Because you can just say, hey, just do it, but that's
well, it starts really with the candidates or contractors, right? Because if you're doing freelance, obviously, like we did, then it's contractors. If you're doing perm, then it's candidates. That's where you start. Because you can build a list up. We'll talk about it in a second. Actually, you can build a list of people up and start to talk to people without necessarily having loads of vacancies around. You know, I will talk about this market mapping thing in a minute with you, but it's difficult to go to clients when you've got no candidates and you've got no contractors, because as soon as they give you a vacancy, it's like, well, where's our people then? And you don't have any.
Chicken and egg thing.
What I said earlier, though, about having clients who use this service is quite important, because you only need one client that takes the kind of people that you are looking to build your niche around. And then when you talk to the candidates and the contractors and they say, where do you supply to? You can say, in all honesty, well, ABC, you know, we work with ABC. And that's like a mental tick in the box. Okay, so they've got, you know, they're great to be able to list off 10 clients, 20 clients that you provide, but just one's enough to begin with. So that means they take you seriously. You pass that tick in the box, you move on to the next, which is, okay, let's talk about what you do. So you start with the candidates and the contractors, really.
Okay. And then you say this, you should build an introductory network. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so a lot of niche people and clients, to be honest, as well, not just candidates and contractors, come from a network. Now, network is just a group of people who are willing and able to help you. And they're willing because they like you and you've done stuff for them, and they're able because they're in the right space. You've chosen them because they can help you, right? So you build a network, and a lot of the people that you would find would come from network calls. So not necessarily just ringing up candidates and see if they're interested in the job, and they're not, and you don't know them. But then you say, hey, do you know anybody that would be? And you can do that, and I think you should, right? But of course, the return on that is pretty limited. But if you've got people who are active in the space, who they themselves are networkers and well placed, there's a very good chance they may be able to help you. And so it's not just about adverts, like I said, or your register. It's about these people that can leverage you in various different places. You've got to actively build that network. That's a really important one. Can't stress that enough, actually.
Okay. All right. And I guess it's sort of linked to this one, which we've already alluded to a couple of times. Oh, wait, that's supposed to say become an expert, not become an expert. But you have to become an expert in this space. You have to be involved in it.
Yeah. Well, the smaller your micro niche, the more you have to do that. For specializations, you don't. For niche, you need to be associated with that. So to become an expert, all that means is you can use the language. You can speak language to them. So when I was in IT, for example, we used to hire our salespeople were all ex-IT people because they could relate very closely to the decision makers who were the hiring managers because they'd been them in some cases in the past. They knew what the pressures were. They understood how to talk to them. They knew what was important. There was an affinity, if you will. So you have to create that affinity with your candidates and your contractors, but also you have to create that affinity with the client. So that comes with understanding the nomenclature. Is that a word? We can use that.
Yes, it is a word. Yeah.
It's understanding the nomenclature and understand what's happening if it's a sector-based thing or if it's to do with the technology or whatever, or med tech or something, that that actually there's movement in that space. You can talk about it with people. When you have a conversation, it's a three-dimensional conversation, not just, we got this job, would you like to go for it? It's like, hey, we can talk about this has happened or that's happened, and you're in the know. Yeah. So it means like going to events. It means watching webinars and watching YouTube videos, and
reading articles.
and signing up for these kind of things, except in the space that you're at. So it is about taking time to learn about the world that these people swim in and be part of that pool.
Okay. And then I guess this one's linked as well. You have to promote yourself within there, which can feel awkward for some people. What do you mean by promote yourself? Are you talking about writing LinkedIn posts wearing I'm the expert at this, or what are you talking about?
No, you don't have to write that. People can draw that conclusion from the things that you write. If you go and pick one of Peter's LinkedIn writing courses, that's what he teaches. It's that, no, you don't have to say you're this. You can just say something and people work it out for themselves. And it's the same this. If you're going to a seminar in Southern California or something on this particular thing that you specialize in, well, people will know you're serious about it, right? If you're writing about stuff in blogs or LinkedIn, then people will glean it for themselves. Or if you're running events yourself, a webinar or a podcast or something, then plenty of people do podcasts to do this. They're in a space and they podcast it. It's not a great sales tool, as we know, podcasts, but they are a very good marketing tool and promotional tool. So it's that kind of thing of really making people know by writing and speaking that you are serious about this subject and this market and this subsection of the market. Okay. It's not that difficult to do, really. And you don't need to do vast amounts of it either, just enough.
Trickle here and there. Okay, so then we go on to the kind of fifth step, which is to productize for the candidate. Now, it's interesting you say candidate there, so can you explain that?
Yeah, so we're all familiar with productizing for clients to basically define a solution, which is a big kind of two-dimensional thing that separates you out from other people and gives density to the claims that you make. Clients think, oh yeah, I want that, I'll buy it, right? Well, you can do the same with candidates and contractors, particularly contractors. But for this, it's a lot lighter. You don't need to go to the good, better, and best and all that nonsense. You just say, look, here's the thing. If you work with us, this is our promise of service. In other words, we will stick to these promises. And if we don't, and you catch us out, we're found out, not to say we'd conceal it, but if you spot this being broken, any of these things being broken, you normally have 4 or 5 of these promises, and they adhere to how people like to be treated, then we'll donate £100 to the charity of your choice, right? So you've got to put some ballsy, right? But it's just a small group of people. This is your squad of contractors or your talent pool of permies. So it's okay to do that, really. Now, those people that signed up for, and I know there are some because I saw your names earlier, for the Breakthrough program, you would take the promise of service that we've built for clients and you would repurpose it for your candidates and your clients. And promise of service is enough. That's absolutely fine. If you deal with us, this is what we do, and this is what happens if we break that promise. So people will take it seriously. So that's really what I mean by productization. You're defining what you're going to do and how you're going to treat people, and then sticking to it.
Okay, so we've got just 2 steps left on building, and then I do want to look at selling for the last kind of 10 minutes or so. So the next step you've got is mapping your market, which I guess is sort of linked to everything else, really, because
Well, this is where you start to build what you're going to sell, right? So if you're contractors, is much easier, of course, because you're going to build a squad. It's called, of contractors, and the beauty of contractors, having been one myself a long time ago for a number of years, is that you're happy to talk to agents as long as they're not idiots, and so many of them sadly were. Perhaps they're not now, I don't know. But as long as they're not idiots, because at some point you might need them to get you a job in 3 months' time or 6 weeks' time or whatever. So there's a level of, I suppose, respect with people, provided they've got some gravity about them. And that's another reason to kind of build yourself up in the space, which is the thing you should do first. That's my top tip, which I've just let out a bit soon, haven't I?
Yeah.
There you go. But anyway, but you can begin to reach out to contractors immediately. You can go and see them, because often they work in clumps. So you go and see one and there's 3 or 4 others, and you say, well, bring them all out. You can begin to build this, and it's a credible story. At the moment, I'm only dealing with ABC, right? But when I've built up a squad of about 20 or 30 contractors, I'm then going to hit the markets. I'm going to specialize on this. I'm going to bypass PSLs. So I'll just get you in. This is what I intend to do. The rate should be higher because I'm going in on consultancy fees, not agency fees. So that's another reason to use me. So you're basically building up reasons for them to buy into what you're doing for them. And as soon as that list is big enough, then you can move on to the selling part, which I'll be talking about in a moment or two.
Yeah.
For perm, it's not quite the same, obviously, because with contractors, there is a definite reuse. You use them once, you use them again, they go somewhere else, they come back to you. So it's well worth the effort because the return on that investment is quite high. Perm, not so much. So what you're doing there is you're building a talent pool. Just tell this quick story. I know we're short on time, but I will do this because it's really interesting. So I did some work did one small project, which this guy wanted some pre-COVID actually. And he'd got a very tight niche, and he'd mapped the entire market. So I think he'd outsourced it to some Indians, but he'd basically got every single person with this job title, and it was quite niche really, in a spreadsheet. And he'd got columns there saying if he'd spoken to them and what he thought of them, and when they were perm, they were not contractors, they were perm. And the likelihood of them leaving and a whole bunch of other stuff. He kept this data there. I mean, I thought it was overkill because I'm thinking, well, that's out of date the moment you've done it, isn't it? But then I said that to him. He said, it doesn't matter. He said, I've got a really good database. I take it to the clients. I show it to them and say, look, this is everybody in the market pretty much that's got this skill that you're after. And I know whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. I've met most of them. I've spoken to them or whatever it is. You're selling this credibility around, or he was selling this credibility around this very small micro niche. Now, you don't have to go to that degree. You don't. But to have, depends on the size that you're going for, to have, well, I reckon that up to a third, say 20% of any particular job role are actively looking for a new role.
Yeah.
Right. So if you had 100 people in that talent pool, 20 of them are looking for a new job. In theory, you just got to find out which 20, and that comes down to the way in which you communicate them and cultivate them, which we're going to look at in a second.
Yeah, Mike, I want to move on to that because we've got like 5 minutes left, Mike. So I really do want to move on to it. And then the final step of this is that you have to keep in touch with your network, right? You have to
cultivate the relationships. Yeah, you can cultivate more with contractors. You can invest a vast amount more with contractors than you can with perm, but you still need to keep in touch, whether that's through social media, whether that's through email, whether that's through a newsletter, whatever. But they've got to be aware that you still exist and you're in the space.
Yeah. Okay.
If they're looking for a job, they might come to you. And B, you can put little hooks in there that if they're starting to think about a new job, they react to, and then they're what's called self-select, and you can zoom straight in there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So we've had a couple of comments I just want to bring up from Paul, because Paul's really good at this. So he said, building an active network is great advice, not looking for immediate gain, but long-term relationships.
Very much so, Paul.
Is a
Yeah,
really good
very.
one. And he's also said on LinkedIn, you need to think more of look at this rather than look at me, sharing knowledge and insights about the subject. It's not about showing off, which I really like, because I like that.
Cool, yeah.
I like the way you phrase that. So I really enjoy it. Okay, Mike. So now the final step. So we've figured out who our niche is. We've built it. How are we supposed to sell with it?
Okay, so first and foremost, as a consultancy, you're not selling a service. You're a recruiter, give us a vacancy and I'll look on my register, I'll go to the job boards, I'll use my network and I'll get someone and I'll present some CVs. It's a reactive service. With this, you're selling access to your squad or your talent pool that you built. And it is a very big difference between them. And that's why it takes time to build, because obviously those get bigger over time. But the deal is, well, look, I've done all of this work. I've mapped it out. I've spoken to people. I know the good, the bad, and the indifferent. I know when people are coming available. I know when people are likely to be looking for new jobs. I've done all that work, and you can buy access to it if you want. So I've either got someone for you and I haven't. Now, I'm very much of the 3-tier, accredited, assured, and assigned. So accredited means, in contractor terms, yeah, we've used them a couple of times before, really good ratings from the clients. You know, you can have them for a week, and if you don't like them, I'll take them out. I won't even charge you because I know they'll stay, right? Assured is when you've taken references, not used them or maybe used them once, you've taken references or you've investigated them, or for permies, you've spoken to them a couple of times, maybe kind of interviewed them and talked to them, and you're pretty confident that they can do the job, certainly. And then assigned simply means you found them, right? You found them. You haven't done much with them at the moment. So, but you've got those 3 different levels, and you're selling level 1. Those people cost more than level 2. Level 2 people cost more than level 3. So you can, even if you don't have to do that, by the way, it's just an idea which I've seen work in the past. But the idea that you are going to put a lot of effort in and then guarantee that portion of your squad or talent pool, I think makes you more of a consultancy and makes it easy to sell. So that's the first thing to do. Secondly, I want to reiterate, you are a consultancy, not a recruitment firm. You're a professional service firm. You've built up this asset, these people, and now you're giving access to people to that asset. So it's a different kettle of fish, much closer to KPMG, PwC, the way in which they use their consultants, really. The other thing is you should set your fees accordingly, right? Don't do it on the cheap. It's a very time-consuming thing to do all this background work, so you should charge for it. If they don't like it, well, fine, somebody will.
Take those contractors and good candidates and put them somewhere else who will appreciate it.
Yeah, somebody will. And lastly, don't compromise. You know, you're going to the clients and saying, well, I only do this. You can look online, you can look everywhere. I only do this. I'm the go-to guy for this, or the go-to girl for this. We've got a supplier list. Well, I'm not really interested because I'm not a supplier. I'm not an agency. What we are is a consultancy. You would bring us in if you specifically wanted these people and you didn't want to pay the big consultancy rates. Because in many cases, my people have worked for those, right? You're just paying bigger rates for it. We did all this all the time back in the day, all the time, right? So if it's for contractors and for perm, yeah, you can pay headhunters to get these people. But actually, I've gone ahead and done what a lot of the headhunters already have done, which is build this very big shortlist of people. Very big shortlist. Well, it's not really a shortlist, but you know what I mean. So don't compromise. Don't compromise when you sell. Go there, be confident in yourself. You've done the work, you've got the reputation, you understand the background knowledge, you're an expert in the space. Buy this or don't buy it.
Okay, Mike, that has been a very whistle-stop tour, but I think hopefully we've added a decent amount of value, guys, with those 7 steps particularly, which I think really break down how to do the niche. So in a second, Mike, as always, I'm going to come to you for the top tips. Someone's thinking about niching, what they should do, what's the most important thing to do. But before then, let's talk about our next show in 2 weeks, because often at the moment it's a flatter market. People are very focused on getting new clients, but they're losing out on one of the biggest sources of revenue and possibly the thing that can keep them afloat, aren't they?
Well, your biggest asset is your client estate, quite frankly, right? That is your biggest asset. And we all know, we've all read the numbers whereby it takes, I don't know, 10 times as much to get a new client as it does to keep an old one or whatever. right? But very often when we are short of work, we neglect our clients because we're looking for new business all the time and our efforts go there. Totally understandable. But what we want to do is make more money from our clients. And certainly we want to push those competition out. It's called Apex Client Care now, but it used to be called Cuckoo Client Care, because what we want to do is push the competition out the nest. Bit gruesome, I know, but there you go. Right. And that's what we're going to talk about, client care. Ignore it at your peril, ladies and gentlemen.
Very excited about that. Okay, Mike. So, top tip. Someone's looking at this thinking, niche or micro niche is my neck of the woods. That's where I want to be. What would you give as your top tip?
I think what you have to do is, before you take any real action, you have to do a little bit of analysis and some thinking. Questions like, what am I interested in? Where am I most successful? Where do I get my biggest fees? Where do my clients struggle to find people? Because that's another trigger, obviously. Where are the competition working? Because sometimes if you've got competition in a space already making money at it, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. So all you need to do is be better than them, which is usually not that difficult. But there's a market there. There's a market because somebody's exploiting it now. So that research where you're reading and thinking and watching and looking is crucial, because that will lead you to your first attempt at a niche. And let's see how that goes, because sometimes it takes 2 or 3 goes to get the thing right. That's absolutely fine. But that would be your first step.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, we have had a comment come through, so saying somebody was late as they were on the phone to a candidate. That's what I like to see. So hello, and if you do want to watch the rewatch of the show, it is available on Mike's LinkedIn, or I will put the link to the YouTube version of as well. And if you have any questions, comments, please don't hesitate to ask. We always make sure that we answer any of those questions or comments that come in later. Okay, Mike. I think it's the end of the show now. So I want to thank you, everybody who's watched and commented. Thank you very much. We always enjoy it when you do so. I want to say thank you to Mike for just bringing his wisdom to us and wearing a good shirt today.
One tries one's best, but yes, I think it's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you, Kirsty, as always, for being the hostess with the mostess.
That's what I like. Okay. And we will see you in 2 weeks when we're talking about client care.